Chris Frostad, how are you, sir? And where are you, sir?
Where am I? Let me check. Let me get back to you on that. We are in fabulous New Orleans at the New Orleans Invention Conference, put on by Brian London. I don't know if you know Brian. He's a great fan of yours, I know. And it's a fabulous show this year. We like to come out here every year and meet the investors. This is strictly a high net worth retail investor type show. It goes on for a few days. They have amazing speakers for the entire week. Most of these people don't leave the place. It's they're up at 8 in the morning and taking notes till 9 at night, and they're pulling economists and letter writers and politicians and everybody they can find up on stage. It's a great show. It's a fascinating show. Yeah.
I've heard nothing but good things. I've spoken to a few guys that are already there, not least, I think we've got Empress behind you. I think Atha is somewhere around the corner.
Atha's around here. There's a few uraniums here this year, which is kind of new. Canalaska's here, Atha's here, nuclear energy's here, their nuclear fuels, I should say, Encore Energy's here. So yeah, a few more uraniums than we're used to seeing at this show, but We've talked them into coming out because it is a good show.
It's a fantastic show, I think, and there's some real investors, as you said, real investors there. You know, from the real estate business, from the oil business, lots of family offices there, and a lot of people new to this thing called nuclear energy. How's it going down there?
Well, good. I mean, we're in amongst a whole lot of gold bugs here, that's for sure. And they're always, we've been coming here for a number of years, and they're always interested in the uranium story. And this year more than not. And you know, so we're seeing a lot more people coming in that are interested in the uranium space, and more from a what they've been hearing a lot, but they don't know really what's going on. So, you know, a lot of the discussion we're having here is around the space, around what's going on in the equities, what's going on with us. It's great from that perspective, and from our end, we're getting real feedback on the story. You know what I mean? Like as we sit in our little offices and do Zoom calls and put out TikToks and the like, we never get any real feedback other than, you know, the odd thing that we really don't want to hear. But it's not necessarily always the real story. And these folks here will come around and they will ask you real questions, hard questions, and they won't leave till you give them a good answer. So you really get that immediate feedback as to how people are taking the message and whether they're getting it and whether you have to change it up or whether you're really connecting on that level.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the guys from Atha earlier, and he said, like, you know, you've got people who are new to the nuclear space and trying to understand it, and he said it's important to spend the time with them because I think the couple he was talking to, you know, they're in their 70s. They bank with Merrill Lynch. We know what the minimum threshold to do that is. So they got real money, and they're not going to casually, you know, deploy capital. So it's kind of like starting again in a way. You have to go through an education process, it seems.
You do, and it's good in that perspective from that end of it, because you're not just selling a stock and selling your stuff. You're really trying to educate people on the story. We'll do a lunch here that we do every year. And 2/3 of that is really talking about the space, the history, what's making, you know, the supply and demand story, the transparency, all of the aspects of this industry that are unique and that aren't, you know, they're not the same as the gold space. And, you know, and then what's going on. So we do a lot of talking and education around that aspect of it before we start telling them what we do for a living. Because then then it starts to make a lot more sense to them. The folks here anyway. So yeah, there's a lot of that goes on here.
And is it I always think when people sort of are just coming into a thematic for the first time, they ask better questions. They ask really simple, childish questions. And by childish, I mean that in the best possible way. It's easy to kind of skirt over stuff and make assumptions, etc. And these guys are, no, start again.
That's it, and they're not afraid to do that. They're not afraid to ask what somebody might think is a stupid question. They'll ask the question and they'll make you answer it until they get it, and then they'll get it. And in the process, you've now figured out how to best tell that answer, because you know when you're buried in it knee deep, and always we make assumptions to what people do and don't know and how they understand it. And that's not a good thing either. So, you know, we can easily gloss over people's the real questions that they want to hear. So we do get a lot of that here as well. Just a second. What? You know Greg Huffman from Nuclear Fuels?
I do.
I
do. Should we say hello?
Greg.
Yes. Hey. How you doing, bud?
Good. Good to see you.
Absolutely, it's been a while.
You know Matt?
Absolutely.
Who's that guy?
Hey. How you doing?
How are you, Greg?
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
not
good.
bad, not bad. We saw you in London. Now you're in. Where are you? Is it New Orleans?
We're presenting this evening.
Right.
6 p.m. local Central Time. So it'll be good.
Fantastic.
Really
you
good.
getting a good reception?
Yeah, very good, very good. My first time here, and I've been very impressed by it. So
nice. And what are you finding? How is the investing audience different from the normal crowd that you might be speaking to?
Yeah, with my background, I sort of grew up on the institutional side for the most part, and here it's all retail, but at phenomenal level of interest. Like they're here. People are paying, so they're trying to get the most for their money. So they're checking out every booth. They're going around, asking very good questions, asking when our presentation is. So yeah, there's a lot of interest and a lot of money too. People are coming up and managing fairly decent sized portfolios. So it's
They are, and we were just talking about I guess the professionalism of the retail audience here. They've got higher, they write bigger tickets. I think seems to be the general consensus.
They really do, and they love to hear that we just closed on our financing earlier this week. So we raised almost $14 million. So when they hear that that's done already and that they're not going to get hit in the face with an equity raise anytime soon, so they're very eager. So we actually saw a big uptick in volume yesterday on the back of our short 5-minute presentation. So yeah, you can absolutely see translation right into buying.
Okay, so I'm always keen to learn. What's the best question you've been asked so far?
You know what? I think it's detail about sort of the pathway on how long it would take to get to production. So, people are pretty keen.
Right.
They're understanding what's going on around us. They understand that the economics of the Powder River Basin are very good at current uranium prices, and they just want to know how long it's going to take us to get to that production decision. So,
and the U.S. factor. I mean, nuclear is on the lips of everyone out there.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely a real focus here. It's interesting because it's very much historically a precious metal show, but there's a good chunk of uranium investors, and the uranium presentations are quite well attended. So I'm excited to see. Hopefully we have a good turnout this evening.
Good. Well, best of luck with that, Greg.
Thank
I hope
you.
it goes well, and good to see you, man. Good
Absolutely, we'll be in touch. Okay, take care.
Okay,
Yeah.
ciao.
I feel like we're working the red carpet here for you, Matt. This is great. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I wish I was there actually, and I'm not quite sure why I'm not there.
Well, this would be a valuable show for you if you were on stage. That's where you need to be.
Explain the format. Explain the format,
The
Chris.
format is interesting.
Important.
So, and again, as Greg was saying, and he's right. These are all individuals that have paid not a small amount of money to get here, be here, and hang out for the week. And as a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, I met a fellow from Norway, and I met him near the end of the show and realized he'd never been to New Orleans before, and he hadn't left the building for the whole week. He hadn't gone out to eat. He hadn't gone out to hear any, and it was Halloween here. It was like nuts. I mean, I dragged him out and introduced him to the place. But I mean, the people that here are serious. So what they've got is a huge auditorium, if you will, with a big stage set up, and just long desks and chairs. And I would say there's probably about at least 400 attendees in the audience, and then they have panels, they have speakers. We pop up every once in a while and give our 5 minutes of fame, and they're just taking notes and going. There's break-off sessions, so they'll be running presentations throughout the day, and it goes right into the night. And then a couple of times during the day, they'll have a coffee session like they're doing now, and that's really the only time we see these people en masse, because then they'll wander across the hall. So it's not like a Minds and Money or a PDAC or something where it's just constant onslaught of people going by your booth. It's 2-3 times a day. They get the break and they come over, and we're part of that. And they circle around and ask the questions and do what they do. So it's a very different format. And if you're a new presenter here, or haven't been here before, it's quite shocking. You're not sure what's good. You got to know the drill. Otherwise, you're not here when everybody else is, and you're here when nobody is. And but it's a very different kind of setup for the show, and it's great.
I get it. It's been running for a while. Obviously, Brian's reputation is superb, but I kind of almost wish there'd be more conferences like this elsewhere in the world, because I think we seem to be going back to the old model in a lot of places, and that's not good bang for your buck.
No.
As an investor, and I guess for you too.
No, it is. We get a lot of value here. Like I say, it's the feedback. It's the direct investors. We've picked up a lot of long-time investors at this show, and it gives us that feedback. Just a second. Brian's just coming up behind me. Brian London, this is his show. He does a fabulous
show. Oh, there you go.
I'm going to see if I can
say hello, huh?
He's somebody's trying to scurry him over this way. That's good. We'll get him over here.
Oh. Get him over here.
Hang on.
I don't want you to miss out on.
He might be getting away. We'll see if he gets dragged over here. You know Janie. She's running the gamut here.
with an iron fist. I know all about that.
So while I've got you, we're closing our $2.2 million today as well. That transaction is closing today. The joint venture we're just finalizing with ISO Energy. We've got our planning meetings going on there now, so we're going to be doing a lot of work out there, and that's a 50-50 joint venture with ISO. We're operating that project, and that's the story now that we're telling it, and we're getting a lot of good feedback on. Is that most of our projects now are being operated under a joint venture with a leader, with somebody with a balance sheet, with an ISO, with a Cameco, with an Orano, with a Foran, and we're finding, and then we're operating all of these projects. So we're earning revenue. We're out in the field. We're spending a lot of money, and we're really advancing some great projects in that way. It's a good story. It's working well here. People are really.
It's working well, and I think we were just talking to someone earlier today about, they were explaining your model to me, and I sat there quietly, so it was good. People are starting to get why this works. This is a hybrid exploration model. Where you get more bang for your buck, more likely to make discoveries because you're using someone else's dollar and sharing the upside.
Right, and they're there to pick up the torch when we find something. So we're purely the trusted exploration team for these majors, and when we identify something, they keep it moving. Oh, hang on, Brian's here. You know Matt?
I don't know Matt.
You don't know this way.
Oh my gosh. How
I keep looking around the corner to see you. Brian, how are you? I hear it's going great.
Yeah, good to see you. I can barely hear you. It's kind of crowded in here.
Yeah.
It's a bit crowded in here. I just want to say, everyone I've spoken to says it's a superb conference as ever, and get real value for money for investors and companies alike.
Thank
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's kind of what we strive to do, and it looks like we hit it this year, but I think it's also a good sign for the market in general too. These are really smart investors. It's a really good sentiment indicator for the market when they're excited about the values and buying, and you look around, that's what they're doing.
And the timing seems perfect for gold, silver, uranium, copper. It's all happening.
It's a target-rich environment for sure, and that's, it's the kind of problem you want to have if you're going to have a problem, but it is a consideration. There's so many values out there, and trying to pick through them. It's look around without seeing, well, that's a value, that's a value, that's a value. It's an amazing market. It's an amazing disconnect between metals and miners right now. And I don't think it's going to last.
Who knows? I hope it lasts long enough for everyone to kind of get in there and make the right investments. But you've done a lot of sifting for people by bringing quality only into your conference. So I think they should appreciate that for sure. Well done.
Well, thank you. Good to talk with you.
And we'll see you next year, sir.
We'll see you here next year.
I would look forward to it. Thank you very much. Good luck, Brian.
There you go. So it's everybody's pretty excited here this year, and like you said, a lot of the talk has been that disconnect between the metal prices, because certainly not just uranium and the equities, and there seems to be a fairly common consensus that that's not going to last, but we'll see.
We shall see. The vagaries of the market, it's been very confusing in the past few years, but it seems to be firming up now. We'll see what this new government in the US does for the markets as well. We need a little bit of stability. Please, Lord. Well, like, sir, I had better let you get back to. Congrats on the raise and congrats on the ISO, JP. I mean, that's unbelievable for you.
Yeah.
And we'll see you when you get back to base.
We will. We will talk soon. Thanks for checking in.
Okay, bye now.
Take care.